So I can't believe I'm saying this, our inaugural season is under wraps already. I mean, it's just hard to imagine. It's gone by fast, but I gotta say, what a year. And all in all, it was a good season. This is a new game we're playing here. 40 guys a day with that score tracker, fighting for that elimination line. It's gotta be the most intense form of fishing I've ever done in my 20-some years of being a professional bass fisherman. Stage 8 was a big mystery for, I think, all or most of us. Lake Winnebago and the surrounding lakes, going up there, I didn't know what to think. I just knew it was a northern fishery. I talked to a couple of the other pros and they said, yeah, it sounds like, 15, 16 pound bags are usually pretty good there. So, that gives you a pretty good idea. I knew going up there it'd be probably a predominant smallmouth lake and then some largemouth. And the only thing you can do on something like that is you kind of prepare and plan for what I've fished in the past. Looking at it on a map and Google Earth looked a lot like Oneida up in New York, and everybody knows that's a great fishery. So that's how I prepared for it. I just kind of packed as a northern fishery. I can study my GARMINs before going up there. I noticed there was the lake wasn't very deep, but there was a lot of reefs and shoals offshore and all that, so I figured it'd be a typical smallmouth deal. Get out there, cover water on those reefs and shoals, and just try to figure out the right baits to catch smallmouth. So we get up there, found out that clearly very shallow, but as you know, we've had a lot of rain this year, and it looked like the water was pretty stained also. So I just prepared as best I could. It's a big lake. It's about 25 miles long by 6 to 8 miles wide, so you can imagine any kind of wind at all, it's going to make for a rough body of water. So had to prepare on that note as well. And what they had in place is days 1 and 2 on Lake Winnebago, but they had a contingency plan in place. Lake Winnebago has 2 other lakes that are attached to it. If it was too windy on Winnebago, they would send us over to the Winneconne and Poygan or whatever the lake is over there for a wind day. So you had to kind of figure out how you're going to spend your 2 days of practice to be the most beneficial. From a fishing standpoint, day 1, caught a few fish right off the bat there in the wind contingency lake. Then I went over to Butamore Lake, which I didn't want to spend a lot of time over there because to get the fish to Butamore means you had to make the cut. So I wanted to spend enough time over there just to lay my eyes on it and just get a feel for it. And it was clearly a shallow water fishery. And man, it had some good fish in it. I think it was maybe noon or 1 on that first day before I finally got over to Winnebago, and by then the wind was blowing pretty hard and made it tough to get around, but got out and was able to catch some fish, but they were all up shallow. Anything that I tried even a little bit offshore, I couldn't get a bite off of it. So it just seemed a little strange for me, but just couldn't get a bite on any of it other than walleye and drum. Couldn't get a bite. And what was interesting too is seeing my competitors too. They get out there, they fish some of that offshore stuff, boom, they're headed towards the shore. You can only get out and do that stuff so long. So I got in there, started fishing shallow, and found out that I could catch fish shallow. So that's basically what I had derived from my 2 days of practice. Was I was going to fish shallow. I had 3 or 4 key areas that I thought I could get into and make the most of. So fast forward to day 1 of competition. You always go into those things and you think you don't have enough areas to fish, or am I going to have enough? And you're wondering who else is fishing the same stuff. So I end up running down to what I thought would be my key area, got in there, and caught 3 fish fairly quick, and then it just died.
On the board, yes sir. 1-8. Yes sir.
think I spent the rest of that first period without a bite, and I'm like, score tracker's already starting to get going. I'm like, all right, well, I got to do something different here now. I ran down to my next spot, and there's several fellow competitors sitting right on it, and of course they're doing pretty well. And you know, it's kind of a heartbreaking deal, so you just kind of run around to some other things that were good in that area, and I managed to start catching a couple. And I had one stretch, probably a 200 or 300 yard stretch of riprap and some overhanging trees. And I'm going down through there throwing a bladed jig, and man, the light turned on. Skipping that bladed jig up under those trees, and about every other tree I started catching a fish. And I went from, I think, like 35th place in the standings to top 10 in a matter of like 20 minutes. I caught, I think, 15 pounds in like 15 minutes.
Place, Brent. 14 pounds, 12 ounces. You're now 17 pounds and 8 ounces out of first place. No penalty, flight touch, flight touch. £3, 2 ounces, 3.2. From 18th, that jumped you all the way up to 14th place, Brent Chapman. 17 pounds and 14 ounces. Absolutely, sir. Put you in 14th place.
It's amazing how quickly you can go from a zero to a hero in just a matter of minutes, and it just reminds you why you don't give up in those things. And that day turned out to be awesome, just fishing the bladed jig around. I caught a couple flipping and all that, but it just was really easy, and I was really excited for the next round of it to be able to build off of that. The key bank that had several competitors on it, I was able to get over there, get on that thing. The wind was blowing on it. It was murky, and they were eating a shallow square bill as well, and caught quite a few that way also. So I was really looking forward to day 2, because going into that round, I think I had about a 12 or 14 pound lead over 20th place. So you know, I felt pretty good about going into that day.
10 man dam. 34, Greg Hackey. 33, Brent Chapman.
Ready?
Yep.
Ran down, and believe it or not, the conditions were completely different. Sunny skies, no wind, and guys, when that happens, things change. I couldn't get a bite on a bladed jig. Everywhere I was getting all these bites, the water was crystal clear. You know, things didn't feel right, and it took me a little while to get a bite, but I just put on a wacky worm. I started skipping it up under the trees, a real light drop shot, and managed to start getting a few bites. So it let me know that the fish were still there. I just had to change techniques, and I managed to start getting in a rhythm, caught a few fish, got myself up in those standings, was able to keep that cushion through the first period, through the second period, and at that point I felt like if I could make it to the third period with a 12-pound cushion, I'd probably be all right. And thank goodness I had that cushion, because those guys kept catching them, and my deal just kind of fizzled out. And honestly, I think what happened was I just kind of ran out of fish. I mean, you know, I managed to salvage the day and stayed in the top 20, made it to the knockout round, so we're headed to Butamore. And I was really excited about that, because Butamore is where I had what I felt like my best practice. The quality was there, so I had high hopes. You look at the weather forecast, and it was hard to get as excited. Bluebird skies, hottest temperatures of the year, and no wind. So started out with the shallow crankbait and a bladed jig, and just couldn't get a bite, and got to some places where I thought I could just catch them like crazy and could not get a bite. And I finally catch one fish flipping. And that was my only bite the whole first period. So it wasn't that great overall on the whole group, and nobody had really figured it out at that point. Start the second period, go over to the first patch of shallow reeds, flipping, and I catch a nice 2.5 pounder. And it was one of those bites that just leads you astray. I went, ran that stuff for another hour, hour and a half, could not get another bite, and really couldn't get anything to develop. And so now we're starting the third period. I'm in, I think, 39th or 40th place, not where I want to be. And, you know, it's the last event of the season, so I'm not only thinking about making it to the championship round, I'm thinking about, hey, I need a top 20 or top 15 to make the cup event. And, you know, there was an outside chance if I won the event, I could even make the red crest. So, you know, all you can do is just keep fishing and, you know, eliminating water and trying things. And finally, that third period, I just ran completely new water, ran into this bay that looked good. I noticed kind of a mat along the shore. And I got along there, just started throwing that wacky worm, and immediately catch a 2-something. Go down a little bit more, catch another one. It was amazing. I went from 39th or 40th place in a matter of about 20 minutes and all the way into top 22, 23. And now I'm catching fish pretty regularly. I think at one point I'd gotten within 5 pounds of being in the top 10. Ultimately, what happened was I just ran out of time. But I went all the way from almost dead last to 22nd place in the tournament. So wasn't the way I wanted to end the event. Obviously I wanted to be in the top 10, but recovered pretty well. I thought there was an outside chance that might be enough to make that final cup event, but it just came up a little bit short, and I didn't quite make the cup event either. But hey, all in all, it was a good season. Learned a lot again. This is a new game we're playing here. I gotta say, 40 guys a day with that score tracker, fighting for that elimination line. It's gotta be the most intense form of fishing I've ever done in my 20-some years of being a professional bass fisherman. So we've got a cup event coming up in September, so we're really looking forward to that. But between now and the end of the year, we're going to be keeping you guys posted. We're going to be doing a lot of videos on the off season, entertaining and educating at the same time. Don't forget, subscribe to my YouTube channel and be sure to ring that bell so you'll get the notifications. And hey, you'll get to see what's going on. Be sure to stay tuned. We've got plenty more to come for the rest of the year, and get out there on the water, keep fishing, and have fun.